working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello, I'm Aliana Sebastian. Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. On tonight's headlines. Survivors of Indonesia's deadly earthquake cook outdoors in a communal shower surrounded by destroyed homes after the disaster killed at least 271 people and displaced more than 61,000. The Department of Migrant Workers, or the DMW, has sounded the alarm over illegal recruitment activities that offer customer service relations or technical support staff in Chinese-operated companies along the border of Myanmar and Thailand. Chulalongkorn University held seminar on the progress of personalized therapeutic cancer vaccine. If successful, both the vaccines and antibody drugs can be used in combination for better results and lower costs for patients. And fans all over the world are overwhelmed and emotional as the oldest member of K-pop phenomenon BTS will begin his military service on December 13, becoming the first in the band to enlist. First in our news, survivors of Indonesia's deadly earthquake cook outdoors in a communal shower surrounded by destroyed homes after the disaster killed at least 271 people and displaced more than 61,000. Survivors continued with their daily routines from cooking to washing clothes, surrounded by rubble and makeshift homes. Take a look.
Ya, berbeda. Kalau itu udah biasa rutin, nyuci, nyapu, segala macam gitu. Kalau sekarang setelah pasca gempa, kebanyakan ya agak bingung, duduk aja gitu ya, mikirkan rumah ibu semuanya gitu ya, yang habis rata sama itu tanah.
Videos show rescue workers pulling the boy Azka free from a destroyed home in Cianjur's worst-hit district of Cugenang, wearing the blue shirt and trousers he had on when he became trapped. The man who pulled him out of a hole cut in the debris clasped him in both arms, as another rescue worker in an orange hard hat ran after them to hold the boy's hand. Footage released by the administration of West Java's Bogor district showed. The National Disaster Mitigation Agency, or the BNPB, said more than 61,000 people have been displaced by the quake. Around 2,000 are injured and 40 missing. Around a third of those found dead so far are believed to be children. BNPB Chief Suharyanto, who like many Indonesians goes by one name, told the press conference without providing an exact figure. 2 villages remain isolated, said Henry Alfiandi, head of Indonesia's Search and Rescue Authority Basarnas, in a video posted to social media. He said he had received reports of villagers trapped without food and water and some forced to sleep alongside dead bodies. Indonesia is vulnerable to landslides and flash floods in the rainy season, which has already begun and peaks in December in West Java. The country's meteorology agency warned that Cianjur is prone to another catastrophe. President Marcos offered condolences to the victims of a powerful quake that destroyed homes and buildings in Indonesia's West Java province on Monday. On his official Twitter account, Marcos extended his condolences to Indonesian President Joko Widodo and Indonesian citizens. I express my deepest condolences to President Jokowi for the loss of lives caused by the 5.6 magnitude earthquake that hit Java, Indonesia, Marcos said. The heartfelt prayers of the Filipino people go out to the families of those lost and affected by this devastation. During his visit to the town of Cianjur, the epicenter of the quake, on Tuesday, President Widodo vowed that the government would prioritize saving people and recovering bodies that are still missing. He said the government would also focus on rebuilding infrastructure and providing government assistance of up to 50 million rupees or 3,180 USD to each resident whose house was damaged. Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo sent his thoughts to the victims of a 5.6 magnitude earthquake that left over 250 dead and scores missing in Indonesia. My heartfelt prayers go to the people of Indonesia over the destruction and loss of lives caused by the magnitude 5.6 earthquake last Monday. The Philippines is one with our Indonesian brethren during this time of grief. Manalo said in a tweet Wednesday. The Department of Foreign Affairs said there were no Filipinos hurt from the tremor. Out of the around 6,700 Filipinos in Indonesia, at least 420 are living in the West Java where the earthquake hit past 1 p.m. Monday local time. The DFA said no Filipino casualty was reported following the magnitude 7.3 earthquake in Solomon Islands. The earthquake struck the country at 12:30 p.m. on November 22, causing damage to infrastructure, including the old building of the Honoraria International Airport. The DFA, citing Filipino Association in the Solomon Islands president Mirta Latienza, said there were no immediate reports of casualties. In other news, Malaysian opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim has been named Prime Minister, the palace said in a statement Thursday, ending a days-long political impasse after inconclusive polls. Opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim and former Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin remain the front-runners for the top job. Malaysia's King Sultan Abdullah Sultan Ahmad Shah has the discretionary power to appoint a premier whom he believes has the majority of lawmakers' support. At the weekend election, Anwar's Pakatan Harapan, or the Alliance of Hope coalition, won the most seats, 82 on an anti-graft message, but fell short of the required 112-seat majority. Former Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin's Perikatan Nasional, or the National Alliance bloc, grabbed 73. Muhyiddin, who was backed by an Islamist party, later told reporters that since no bloc had enough numbers, the king had initially asked him and Anwar to form a unity government. Malaysia's King Sultan Abdullah Ahmad Shah had summoned the two rivals in a bid to break the deadlock. Vietnam on Wednesday announced it is open to balancing its trade with the country by increasing its imports of Philippine goods and services. Vietnam National Assembly Chairman Vuong Dinh Quay made the remark during his meeting with President Ferdinand Bongbong R. Marcos Jr. in Malacanang last Wednesday. In a statement, the Office of the Press Secretary said Vuong declared that Vietnam is planning to import more commodities and goods from the Philippines. Mr. Vuong said he also believes that apart from rice trade, they can expand their current relations to the import and export of construction materials, particularly cement. During the 40th and 41st Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN summits in Cambodia, President Marcos said he wants to address the country's trade deficit with Vietnam. President Marcos welcomed the pronouncement of Vuong since it will help further strengthen the bilateral relations between the Philippines and Vietnam. According to the Business Mirror, aside from trade and investment, Vuong said the bilateral talks between the Philippines and Vietnam could also be expanded to cover defense and security, education and training, science and technology, tourism, as well as people-to-people exchange. The Department of Migrant Workers, or the DMW, has sounded the alarm over illegal recruitment activities that offer customer service relations or technical support staff in Chinese-operated companies along the border of Myanmar and Thailand. In a press release on Wednesday, DMW Secretary Susan Opley said she has already met with 10 of the 12 rescued victims of a Chinese call center based in a remote area in Myanmar near the border of Thailand. DMW has already issued an advisory against online offers for temporary work in Myanmar for POGO, or the Philippine Offshore Gaming Operators, run establishments which in reality are forced labor and human trafficking hubs in disguise. Opley said the victims narrated to her that they were recruited online via Facebook and promised a monthly salary of 40,000 pesos for 6 months of work as data encoders, customer service relations, and technical support staff. She added that they were also made to believe that they would be working in Thailand, but instead ended up in a techno park in a remote area in Myanmar. Upon arrival at their place of work, each victim was assigned to a cubicle and given instructions in Chinese that had to be translated via Google Translate. They were made to enter dating apps and other social media platforms to search and cultivate relations with potential Bitcoin investors. Deployment of OFWs to Myanmar has been suspended earlier through Advisory Number 54 signed by Acting POEA, or the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration Administrator, and DMW Undersecretary Bernard Olalia on August 2, 2022. The advisory warns aspiring OFWs from applying for jobs in Myanmar due to the continued violence and armed conflict in the country, as well as rising incidences of illegal recruitment and human trafficking. Meanwhile, Opley has already directed the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or the OWA, an attached agency to the DMW, to assist the rescued victims and provide overnight accommodations as well as shuttle services to their homes in Metro Manila and air transit for those returning to the provinces. A financial assistance amounting to 10,000 pesos were given to each of the victims by the OWA as Opley assured assistance in job placements either overseas or locally. Non-government organization UGAT Foundation Incorporated provided the victims spot counseling and psycho-emotional evaluation. Another mass shooting in the U.S., the latest took place inside a Walmart supermarket in Chesapeake, Virginia, when a store manager opened fire on his employees. 6 people were killed, including a 16-year-old boy. 7 others were injured. Take a look.
So that happened in Charlottesville. Virginia Beach happened in 2019, and then this happened now. And then Idaho, those kids getting stabbed. I'm like, what is going on here? You know, mental health matters. We got to make sure kids in college have ways to get help. We need to make more public service announcements, and Community Services Board need to help people that don't have insurance get help. There's got to be some way to make sense of this, to change it, you know.
Police identified the gunman as Andre Bang. He was armed with a handgun and multiple magazines. Chesapeake, Virginia Police Chief Mark Zaleski said he's believed to have died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The city said the shooter and 2 victims were found dead in the break room, while another body was found next to the front of the store. 3 people taken to hospital with gunshot wounds later died. Terry Brown, who was in the Walmart but left just before the shooting, said the store was packed with holiday shoppers. Right now, there is no clear motive. So far in 2022, the Gun Violence Archive website has tracked more than 600 mass shootings in the United States, defined as an incident with 4 or more people shot or killed, not including the shooter. Ahead of the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, observed on November 25th, a new report by UN Women and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, or the UNODC, indicates that more than 5 women or girls are killed every hour by someone in their own family. UN Chief Antonio Guterres said that a woman or a girl is killed every 11 minutes by an intimate partner or a family member. Joan Soriano reports.
Globally, every 11 minutes, a woman or girl is killed by an intimate partner or family member. According to the United Nations, other stresses from the COVID-19 pandemic to economic turmoil have resulted in even more physical and verbal abuse.
Femicide rates remain at alarming levels, with more than 5 women or girls killed every hour by someone in their own family. And we know, of course, that behind every data point, behind every statistical point, is actually a lived life. It's actually a real woman or girl whose life has been very brutally and often very abruptly ended just because she is a woman.
So the report presents global, regional and sub-regional estimates of gender-related killings of women and girls in the private sphere in 2021, and I insist on the private sphere aspect of it. Globally, there is an estimated of about 81,000 women and girls who were victims of homicides in 2021. The majority of those homicides have been femicides, which means that there was a gender-related motivation behind these killings.
UN General Antonio Guterres says women and girls also face rampant online violence, from misogynistic hate speech to sexual harassment, image abuse, and grooming by predators. He says violence against women and girls is the most pervasive human rights violation in the world. Guterres says this discrimination, violence, and abuse targeting half of humanity comes at a steep cost. He says it limits women and girls' participation in all walks of life, denies their basic rights and freedoms, and blocks the equal economic recovery and sustainable growth the world needs. The UN chief calls for transformative action that ends violence against women and girls, which means governments designing, funding, and implementing national action plans to tackle the scourge. He says it means ensuring that laws are implemented and respected so survivors see their rights to justice and support upheld. This year's theme is Unite, activism to end violence against women and girls. Guterres says it means standing with people around the world calling for change and supporting survivors of violence. Statistics show that globally, an estimated 736 million, or 1 in 3 women, have been subjected to physical and/or sexual intimate partner violence, non-partner sexual violence, or both at least once in their life. That is 30% of women aged 15 and older. Joanne Soriano, New York, New York. Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Taiwanese tech giant Foxconn on Thursday apologized for a technical error in its payment systems. This violent protest erupted over salaries and conditions at its vast iPhone factory in central China. Hundreds of workers marched in Zhengzhou, dubbed iPhone City as the world's biggest producer of the smartphone, with some clashing with riot police and personnel in hazmat suits. Footage shared with AFP and captured by a factory worker showed one person lying inert on the ground next to a man in a blood-spattered jacket who was having his head bound in an apparent effort to staunch a wound. A worker, the confrontations broke out after employees who signed an agreement with the factory to work at least 30 days in return for a one-time payment of 3,000 yuan or $420 suddenly saw the figure slashed to just 30 yuan. The factory, owned by Taiwanese tech giant Foxconn, has itself been under COVID restrictions for over a month amid spiraling cases in its worker dormitories. Zhengzhou on Thursday recorded 675 new COVID infections, the vast majority of which were asymptomatic. Footage emerged last month of panicking workers fleeing the site on foot in the wake of allegations of poor conditions at the facility. Traira Pisikun, MD, head of Center of Excellence in Systems Biology, Faculty of Medicine, Chulalongkorn University, and his team began to develop personalized therapeutic cancer vaccines in 2017, and the project is during phase 1 of clinical trials in volunteers starting in January 2021. This is the first trial in Thailand and Southeast Asia. Take a look.
Cancer is the leading cause of death worldwide. In Thailand, we have almost 200,000 new patients per year. My name is Dr. Trairak Pisitgun. I'm a director of the Center of Excellence in System Biology at Faculty of Medicine, Chulalongkorn University. Each cancer, from each patient somehow behave differently. The cancer try to evolve within, the patient to escape from immune system and from the drug treatment. The vaccine idea, basically, you want to activate immune system to recognize cancer, then you have to make it target to that individual only. That's why it's become personalized vaccine. The natural immune system has ability to fight cancer. Then why patient having cancer, right? The reason is because the immune cell and immune system, it's not healthy anymore. At that time, then cancer find a way to escape from the immune system. The task for us is to try to help invigorate or educate immune system, to make it become healthy again. For cancer, we have to teach the immune system, the cancer part, which is the mutation part. We have to analyze the cancer cell of each patient to find the mutation and then use that information and make that into vaccine. The vaccine could be encoded in mRNA form, could be peptide, could be DNA form. So in our study right now at Chulalongkorn Hospital, we use a peptide platform. Most of the time, we will not use vaccine alone. We're gonna combine with other drug that help either kill the cancer or activate immune system further. Conceptually, if we can improve the strategy and the technology, it should help treating all cancer. We already start the clinical trial, beginning of 2020. We can use all of the strategy that we have: radiation, chemotherapy, surgery, and immunotherapy to find what's best for that patient. So vaccine is part of it. Typically for clinical study, normally we have 3 phases. Phase 1 is when you want to test a new drug. The first question is it safe or not? Then the next question is how effective it is. Once you see good signal of efficacy signal, then you want to be sure that it works on larger group of patients. Then that becomes phase 3. We are halfway through phase 1 study, and we are very satisfied with the safety data that we have. So going toward phase 2, in I hope maybe next year. Based on this type of treatment, is always expensive because you tailor-made for specific patient. Of course, we have to find a way to bring the cost down somehow. The main hurdle that we foresee is how to deliver effectiveness. This research is developing a drug which costs a lot of money. So we are grateful for all the funding that we see from Thai people, and also university and the government also contribute with the funding. This project is under the Center of Excellence in System Biology, which also work with the Cancer Immunotherapy Fund Excellence Center. We have multiple projects with the same goal to use immune system to fight back the cancer. Hope we can make something else to help our society.
NASA's Orion performs its first powered lunar flyby. Take a look. The spacecraft made its closest approach to the lunar surface, the capsule coming 80 miles from the moon's surface. Check out those views. That's the closest a capsule has come closest to the moon in 50 years. The Orion fired up its engine and will be continuing orbiting the moon before returning to Earth, scheduled for December 11. The success of this mission will determine the future of the Artemis 2 mission, which will take astronauts around the moon without landing. Then Artemis 3, which will finally mark the return of humans to the lunar surface. Those missions are scheduled to take place in 2024 and 2025 respectively. The oldest member of K-pop phenomenon BTS will begin his military service on December 13, becoming the first in the band to enlist, local media reported on Thursday. All able-bodied South Korean men under the age of 30 must perform about 2 years of military service, mainly because the country remains technically at war with nuclear-armed North Korea. That means the age cutoff is approaching for 29-year-old Jin, senior member of the hugely popular septet. He will begin his mandatory 5-week training at Yeoncheon in Gyeonggi province before being deployed to a frontline unit, the Yonhap News Agency reported, citing military and industry sources. The singer had previously hinted on social media that he had been assigned to the front line. The news left fans overwhelmed and emotional, with some even expressing concern about Jin's safety. BTS are credited with generating billions for the South Korean economy, and their label enjoyed a surge in profits despite holding fewer concerts during the coronavirus pandemic. But the prospect of mandatory military service has long hovered over the K-pop superstars and has triggered years-long debate in South Korea over whether they deserve exemptions, which are given to classical musicians and Olympic medalists, for example. Their agency announced last month that band members would carry out their mandatory military service, starting with Jin. Seoul's defense minister had said in August that BTS might be allowed to continue performing and preparing for international concerts even while undertaking military duties. As my usual habit, I'd like to end the day on a positive note. Let's encourage and build each other up so that no one is left behind. From EBC Vietnam Bureau, I'm Eliana Sebastian, saying the news because we live in extraordinary times.